Hello there. How are we all doing?
Oh.
This is the Grand Auld Podcast for the very first time in video, not just audio, guys. And wow, what a day. This is the Quadruple Treble Charity Weekender. And my goodness, guys, we have a quadruple treble to celebrate as Celtic fans. I am Hamish. John, say hello.
Hello, how's everyone doing? How's the chat doing? We're on to chat about Celtic for an hour, and we've also got Paul Fisher making his YouTube debut. Is that correct, Paul?
I think it is, yeah. First time on YouTube, long time on podcast. I'm absolutely buzzing for this. It's been a roller coaster of a day, and this hour will be absolutely brilliant. I'm sure everybody will agree.
He's absolutely a face for the podcast scene, isn't he? Look at him. He's got a nice New Balance top on. Good on you, mate. Anyway, we've got a few bits of housekeeping we need to do beforehand. Just to echo what Callum CFB just said just there, and great show, by the way, guys. Just a big thank you to Paul John Dykes for having three numpties on to chat about Celtic on the prime spot, the prime spot on a Sunday evening. Big well done to everyone who's watching, everyone who's donated £21,000 close to. It's incredible, and we've still got ages to go. You've got to listen to us for the next hour, so hopefully in that time people can get their wallets out and get involved, because there's so many really good causes. You know, we've got Rock Talk, Food Fact Friends Food Bank, Children First, and Help for the Homeless as well. So at this time of year, John, some really good charities and causes to get behind.
Yeah, fantastic. Philip Halloran in the YouTube chat wants us to start singing the Rebs. It's maybe a bit early for that, mate. We'll maybe get Paul on that if you donate enough, if not enough cash. We'll maybe get Paul doing that and disgracing himself. I've got an idea for the charity. If people want to donate and haven't yet, I know it's a difficult time at Christmas, so why not, if you're able, donate £4 for the quadruple treble? If everyone who is currently watching donates £4 for the quadruple treble, you will boost this total that's gone beyond £20,000 up towards the £25,000 mark. That's what you should do if you're able. Paul, what are your thoughts on today in general?
Where to start? I think it's half time. You're sitting there thinking, "Here we go. How many are we going to get?" But it wasn't to be, and it's the story of the Celtic season so far. I think the way that the game went and the way that the whole trophy, the whole thing is just it's mind blowing. I don't think I've still not wrapped my head around the fact. And I remember us doing podcasts on the treble, the first treble, the second one, and history making every single time, and here we are again for the fourth time in a row talking about another Celtic treble. It's just incredible.
Right, lads, if the emotion after the first one, the Tom Rogic one, was complete euphoria, the second one a little bit more subdued but still amazing. The third one, I don't know what that was. Just that was like tears running down your face type thing. What are we feeling after the fourth one, Paul?
Knackered. Yeah, knackered. No, go Paul. Go Paul.
No, I think the overwhelming feeling was when Ayer's penalty hit the back of the net was a wave of relief, but it was sheer elation. We have been longing for this fight. This cup final has been a long time in waiting. So we went through a rollercoaster of emotions, I've already said, but I was, after the Tom Rogic, I was close to tears, and I was close to tears again today. It was bizarre, because I didn't expect it, because of the way that this season has been going, and obviously this is our last season's competition, but the emotion just hit me towards the end, and now that we've sealed the deal and we've sealed our place in history, I think that we'll start to unpick everything, but just euphoria.
Right, we've got over 500 people watching us at the moment. Now, I'm okay. I failed higher maths twice, but I've worked out, John, that if everybody watching it gave £4, that'd be £2,000 straight away. So there you go. Got a few people in the comments as well, commenting saying that they're feeling different things. Christopher Gillespie, I don't think I have laughed, cried, cheered and roared so much all in the one game. Got to admit, I went next door at the penalties. As a Scotland fan who's had plenty of experience of penalty shootouts, I must say it was pretty amazing. Am I ever going to lose a penalty shootout? That's 3 from 3. And Ryan Christie and Callum McGregor have been involved in them all. We've got Regan watching as well. Hi, Regan. Great to see you involved. And yeah, we should say, just before we go on with things and we get properly into the nuts and bolts of what happened today, a big thank you to our boss, Vic, at GRV Media, and 67 Hail Hail for sponsoring this show with a £250 donation. Big thanks to him. As I say, John, we will get into what happened today and properly in a wee second, but do you want to maybe tell people a little bit about what we do from Monday to Friday?
Yeah, we write and create videos about Celtic, basically, and we're very lucky to be able to do it as a job, and we enjoy doing it. So we offer opinion and news and analysis on the website, reaction with our colleagues Ewan and David, and you create daily YouTube videos at this point, just talking about everything to do with Celtic, and managing to wind up Rangers fans in the comments, which is always welcome. So yeah, I think we're maybe professional Rangers bammer uppers. Is that the right thing to say?
Yeah. And Paul, the Grand Auld Podcast, some people, very few people probably in the chat will have actually heard of us. Some people, may have. Just tell people a little bit about how long we've been going and what we aim to do on the podcast.
It seems like we've been going for forever, to be honest, but we're kind of stop-start. We always kind of take long breaks and things like that. But the Grand Auld Podcast has been about for 4 years, 5 years, I think now. The three of us worked together at the Celtic Life project, and we've been firm friends ever since. And we thought once the project came to an end, we'd always kind of do something Celtic related, and we started up the podcast, and we always have great feedback from the listeners and the fans, and it's brilliant to know that people like to hear opinions from three numpties, basically, and it's brilliant. It's just such a fun thing to do. Obviously, the last few years have been absolutely brilliant. As a Celtic fan, this year has been a lot more challenging, and there's challenging times to come. But today is one, I think, although there are the questions to be asked, we take the positives from it, and then we start again tomorrow and go on for more trophies.
Do you know that the first podcast we ever recorded was after a cup final at Hampden in December? And it was actually, funnily enough, the first of the 12. It was a 3-0 against Aberdeen back in December 2016. So, there's a neat symmetry. I mean, I'm not saying this is the final of our Grand Auld Podcast. Who knows, it may be, depending on how the next 50 minutes go and what goes down. Maybe the Rebs do come out and we're taken off the air. But, yeah, guys, we're going to get into what happened today, because it's a tough one to analyse, John, because we've won another trophy. We've won the quadruple treble. It's now 12 consecutive domestic trophies, but amongst all of that history making and record breaking stuff, there's a lot of stuff that isn't so good at the club.
Yeah, but I'm tempted to kind of kick that down the road a wee bit. I mean, we should talk about the achievement first and foremost. I know we've just been on the 67 Hail Hail channel, but a lot of people in the chat will be absolutely desperate to hear a bit of positive Celtic chat. And I think the first thing that you need to say about this Celtic team is that they're born winners. I know things aren't going so well in the league, and they haven't gone well in Europe this season, but this is a moment to take and enjoy Celtic, I think, and enjoy what was a crazy cup final, one of the strangest I've ever seen. And there was certainly a lot of I was certainly went through all the emotions today. I went through anger, I went through disbelief, I went through joy, everything you could possibly experience as a Celtic fan from today's game. I think that it's kind of almost a microcosm of the season to date in many ways. I think there are serious questions to answer about the future direction of the club and this team. But Neil Lennon, the first ever player and manager to win a treble in Scotland, I think is phenomenal to do that as a player and manager. And you'll have his critics off the back of today, and no one should shy away from that criticism. But I thought that, dragging this team over the line, regardless of how we did it, shows some sort of character. And players like Connor Hazard stepping up at the right moment, Mikey Johnston stepping up to take a penalty after 10 months off. Quite remarkable, really. So, yeah, there are a lot of problems at Celtic right now, but, it makes it especially important to take the good times as they come. And I would suggest today is certainly a good time for me.
Right, we're going to get into all of this stuff over the next 45 minutes, but same question to you, Paul. Where do you come down on the positive, negative debate? And then I'll chuck in my thoughts.
I'm not going to be overly negative today. I don't think it's in my nature to be overly negative when we've just won a trophy. Regardless of how that was won, if we'd won it with an own goal that was dodgy as anything, I still wouldn't be negative, because we're a club that celebrates success, and we've had more success today. There's negatives, of course there are. There's hardly a game goes by where there's no negatives, but we need to look at why we are in the situation we are with a quadruple treble, and the questions eventually were answered by the players on the pitch.
We're still the only team in Scotland that can win trophies, by the way, so there is that, Hamish, before you start on your negative nonsense.
That's exactly what I'm going to do, John. Now, today was a history-breaking day, or a history-making day. Incredible. We got over the line in the end. We won in penalties. I don't think I've, seen Celtic win a penalty shootout for a long, long time. I think it was Artur Boruc was the last one when he slotted against Dundee United. Amazing feeling today. I celebrated like mad when Ajer slammed that final penalty in. But I'm very much a Celtic fan who is looking over the horizon, and I'm seeing what's coming, and there's still huge concerns about where this team is going under Neil Lennon. And I'm not just talking about Rangers on whatever it is of January, 2nd of January. I'm talking about in general, because whenever a setback happens in a game, this team really struggles to get over it. That is a game we should have romped today when we were 2-0 up. Hearts were losing the rag. Halliday, Naismith, the other midfielder, Irvin, was completely been bossed by Scott Brown. And for whatever reason, when we came out in the second half, we let them back into it. And as much as we won the game, that was unforgivable for me. So, you guys tell all the positive stories you want and kid yourselves on. There are major problems at the club.
It's not kidding ourselves on. I think it's being happy for what's happened. I think there'll be plenty of bumps in the road ahead. I'm sure there will be. But surely today we can look at that and think that these players have got that winning feeling again. I know it came about in a dodgy way, and I know we're all frustrated, and I think there's severe tactical problems and all sorts of confidence issues in that team, and there's issues and questions to be asked about what this team do when they kind of suffer a setback in terms of conceding a goal. But that first half was magic. The second half was one of the worst halves of the season. But, what about Edouard's penalty? I mean, that was
right.
Just
can we do it chronologically then?
Okay.
Can we start with Ryan Christie? Amazing. You love Ryan Christie, John. You're his #1 fan.
Yeah. I love Ryan Christie. I don't think he had a good game overall today, but what I said last week on the podcast was that he's a match winner and he's going to pop up at big moments, and that's why you have him in the team. And I think there's hardly anyone in that squad, I feel like, that can produce a goal like he did today. Perhaps him and Rogic are perhaps the only attacking midfielders who could do that kind of top corner business in a big moment in a big match. And I think that's why Neil Lennon selected him today. I think that Christie comes in for a lot of stick and has done, especially over the last 12 months. Some of it's warranted. Some of it I feel like is a bit over the top. I think Christie has proven time and again that he's a match winner for us and can score big goals. He's done that for the last 2 years. And he's still popping up with these big moments. So although he missed the penalty in the end, that goal obviously helped us towards the trophy and the quadruple treble. So I would have him in the team for moments like that. I don't think it's something that Frimpong is capable of at the moment, for example. As much as I am a fan of him at the moment, I would suggest that he's still got a bit of development to do to produce big moments like that.
Yeah, it was a terrific goal. It's never dull for Ryan Christie at Hampden, is it? I think he's played there 4 times for Celtic. He scored on 3 occasions, and the other one he ended up in hospital after that horror injury against Aberdeen. He scored in the semi-final against Aberdeen this year, Paul, with a terrific left-footed strike into the corner that you knew was in the minute it left his foot. And today, although it was a bit closer in and it was a different angle, he was kind of coming onto it at I'm not good at maths, but a more acute angle, and he curled it in. But just brilliant again from Ryan Christie. And it is big moments like that win you trophies. I know Hearts come back and get it to extra time, but I suppose that is the difference that we had genuine match winners there.
Yeah, I think, as John mentioned earlier on, it's like the season in one game. We've been through ups and downs, and it was kind of like it was reversed, because I think this season we've kind of stepped up in the second half, and whereas we were really, really good in the first half for a change, and at half time, like, Christie's goal is absolutely phenomenal, and then you've got the penalty, which we'll come on to. But you go in at half time and you're 2-0 up. I don't know how things changed so dramatically in the second half to change, to make you think, right, what's going on here? We're hanging on by our fingernails to kind of hang on to this lead, and then we can see the second goal. It's basically get to extra time, and we should have the strength to see it through. But I think players like Ryan Christie, you've got Tom Rogic who's done it in the past. Edouard is obviously one of the main
Lee Griffiths
players. Lee Griffiths comes off the bench and does something quite Lee Griffiths-like and gets a poacher's goal. But we've seen so many different things in this game that I don't know if we can get through it in an hour, how much it's how much we're talking about. But I think Ryan Christie's goal is up there with the best goals I've seen from a Celtic player in a cup final. It's just perfect the way it comes off his foot.
Yeah.
Leaves Craig Gordon, who's a great goalie, leaves him stand, like, he's no chance of saving that. I don't think many goalkeepers are saving that, to be honest. And the way he just finds that wee extra yard and pings it in. He has a similar chance in the second half, and he balloons it over the bar. So he can do it when the chances are given to him. But it's great to see Ryan Christie, because I think the last couple of weeks maybe questions have been asked of him. Were we all expecting him to start? Probably. I didn't expect him to start the game, but he's certainly proven his worth with the goal, and saying any goal in a cup final is always going to be special. But that one was extra, pretty good.
Craig Gordon, a great goalie, says Paul Fisher. Johnny was a very angry goalie a few minutes later. Mm-hmm. Just talk about that. I must admit, like, you guys were in the group chat where I predicted it. I knew that. I didn't know, but I had a wee feeling that Edouard was going to try and Panenka. He did it against Copenhagen. Dembele did it in the exact same net for Celtic against another Andy Halliday team a few years ago. So just expertly taken. But what did you make of that whole thing? And what did you make of Craig Gordon's frustrations?
Well, Craig Gordon wasn't a happy man. I thought it was funny, first and foremost. I thought Craig Gordon was a great keeper for us over the years, and respect him for putting up a brave fight today. But he's been moaning about Celtic throughout the summer, about all sorts of his contract issues, etc. I don't think Edouard did that out of disrespect. I think Edouard just likes doing that against any goalkeeper. The fact he came against a former teammate and Craig Gordon, I mean, the way he took it, I think, was a bit over the top. And the goalie, Gordon, I think, did you see what Neil McCann said about it? He was raging about the video. So anything that winds up Neil McCann is good in my books. And I think that's what Edouard's here for. He's here for moments like that. I know he missed chances today again, but he's a cheeky wee so-and-so, isn't he? So I would praise him for a big moment like that, a bit of flair, a bit of magic.
I can't remember who it was I saw on Twitter earlier, but they were saying if Stephen Naismith had Panenka it against Hazard, I doubt that Neil McCann would be coming out with the same patter that he did, disrespectful, whatever he wanted to say. Like, I don't know what was Craig Gordon expecting? Was he expecting Edouard just to dink it into his hands or to tell him what way he was going to go? Like, what was he expecting? It's a cup final, mate.
I know.
What do you think, Paul?
It's brilliant. I absolutely love to see a Panenka. I think it's just the epitome of class from a player, to be honest. I think to show the nerve to do that in any game is brilliant, but to do it in a cup final, big man just knows he's got it. He can handle the pressure, and it's just when that goes in the back of the net, it's just you're celebrating. You're not thinking about Craig Gordon. He's had his tea. You know what I mean? That's it. It's done. So
he's had his time, yeah.
It has, and as John said, like, folk might not agree that he's a great goalkeeper. I will maintain he was very good for us, and he's probably still above championship level in terms of goalkeeper. But the reaction's over the top. If that goes in top bin, he's not going to react like that. He's just raging that his team's 2-0 down, and there's nothing he's done about it. If he stands tall, he probably saves it. So I think it's a fantastic penalty, and all credit to Edouard for stepping up and doing that.
Dan Mack getting in touch saying Gordon showed a bit of class at full time. Did anyone catch that? What happened there?
Yeah. So, I thought Gordon, after the penalty shootout, him and Connor Hazard were having a moment they kind of embraced. And, I think Connor Hazard's probably looked up to Craig Gordon a lot over the years. You would have done at Lennoxtown and etc. He's probably learned loads off of Craig Gordon. And so it was nice to see, the players go up to Craig Gordon as well. It wasn't just Hazard, it was other players, Frimpong and Beaton I saw on the TV cameras. Look, I've got nothing against Craig Gordon. I still think Eduard Panenka was brilliant. And, Gordon's place in Celtic history is apparent. He played a massive part in the 9 in a row run and the quadruple treble run. That picture of him, knees to the ground, letting himself fall to the ground after the Tom Rogic's goal against Aberdeen is iconic. It's one of my favourite images of the entire quadruple treble. So fantastic.
Do you know, after that Tom Rogic goal, I was at that game, and I've never celebrated a goal by running downstairs at Hampden. And Tony Roper was a couple of rows in front of me. Ended up embracing him, kissing him.
Did you not lose convinced as well?
That was Dembele, back heel against Rangers last minute in the Betfred final. But the Scottish Cup final, embracing Tony Roper, who I had in my head was Rabsy Nisbet. But he's apparently not. He's just in Rabsy Nisbet. So I'm going about telling people, I'm going about, I don't know, it's before my time, but I'm going about telling people that I've been hugging Rabsy Nisbet after Tom Rogic's goal, and it just wasn't the case. Yeah, and while I'm on, stories about me messing up, I'm pretty stunned, to be honest, that we've even been asked on this show, given my experience with the wonderful Paul John Dykes in Romania last year. And let's just say the cheap, it wasn't even beer, it was cheap vodka and stuff like that in Cluj meant that I was in a hell of a state. So belated apologies to Paul for having to put up with me at the Cluj Celtic game. A meaningless game that I was in a pretty bad state for. But anyway, we move on, guys. Half-time today. How are you feeling, Paul? Were you, I suppose it's a daft question, but you were pretty confident that the quad treb, as I'm now calling it, was in the bag?
Yeah, the feet were up, the cigars were out at half-time, to be honest. It was, you're thinking, honestly, I text my old man and said, how many do you think we can get here? Do you think we can get 5? Because we're talking about so then he was talking about the charity weekender, and he was buzzing for this. He was buzzing for the game, and he was talking about 5-0 and stuff like that. Hearts are a gang and all this kind of part. And at half time, it looked like he was going to be proven right, but it was so strange to go to sheer joy and elation at half time, sitting there thinking this is easy street, and 3 minutes later, I think it's you're starting thinking 2-0 is a dodgy scoreline, and when they go 2-1, then the questions start to get asked, and Liam McLeod rips out all the stats about teams that have been 2-0 up in cup finals and all that kind of stuff that rips your knitting. But we at half time you think this is guaranteed. But
I was gloating on Twitter. I think I was slagging Andy Halliday and Craig Gordon, as you would. What about Andy Halliday's wee meltdown? See that? That was a good laugh.
Yeah. I'm just sad there was no fans at the game to be able to sing the Andy Halliday song. But it's pleasing to know that he'll be hurting tonight. Stephen Naismith will be hurting, and people forget who's one of the Hearts coaches.
Who?
Lee McCulloch.
Lee McCulloch. He will be hurting tonight as well. There's your own wee treble there. So excellent stuff. But we're happy at half time. John, what happened? Because you're always expecting in a cup final, when a team's 2-0 down, you expect the opposition to throw caution to the wind a bit, have a bit of a go. Hearts did that, but we just didn't deal with it well at all.
Yeah, same old defensive frailties, unfortunately. God knows what's happening with those defenders at times. I mean, there was moments where we didn't even concede that just made you have your heart in your mouth with that mix-up between Julien and Duffy at one point. That was a nightmare. There was a few nightmares, and once the goal went in, I think the confidence just absolutely seeped out of these players, and that's been an issue all season. It's something they really need to work on if we're going to do anything going forward. I wish we could just pretend the match finished at half-time, to be honest with you, because for the rest of the match...
if you want.
well, maybe
makes no difference.
There's maybe not much nice to be said about Celtic after the halftime mark. It was truly awful until the penalty shootout. The penalty shootout was good.
When were you concerned? For me, the moment was when those two diddies at the back managed to, I don't even know what happened. Basically, it was the easiest ball for one defender to deal with. There was two of them there, and they somehow managed to actually play the ball in for the Hearts boy Ginnelly, who made, forced Hazard into a good save. But that was the moment for me, Paul, when I started worrying.
I think when Hearts scored the first one, that's kind of, you start thinking, oh, here we go again. This is the same old story that we've had for the last couple of months, and to an extent it came true. But I know what you mean. The in terms of that calamity defending when the two of them came together. There you go. Good form in Cluj.
I'm pleased about that. I was very concerned. Sorry, carry on, mate.
No, so obviously when you concede a goal, and as I said, 2-0 is a dodgy position to be in. You want that third goal to give yourself a bit of breathing space, and Hearts score, and all of a sudden they look up to it. It's just so bizarre how we've seen it many times this season, and Hearts could have scored a couple of goals. I think they had chances, and we looked very shaky. But there's always that feeling, and long-time listeners of the Grand Auld Podcast will know with me that we have that belief in the ability to go on and win games, even when we're backs against the wall and we're struggling. And deep down, I always thought that
you were keeping the faith, Paul, were you?
That's it. Keeping the faith, always keeping the faith. And you know, when it went to 2 each, and then into extra time, you thought, right, you've got the legs on this mob, and you think, right, okay, we'll get there, and we do score, but then another twist to come after that. It's bonkers.
Do you know what it reminded me of? And tell me if you disagree or agree with this. The Dundee United semi-final from about 2010 or something like that. That was under Lennon, and it felt that same kind of, God, this could go either way.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. That was another roller coaster game. Another nightmare game. What about, just to touch on this, I know we'd kind of touched on it before, but what about Lee Griffiths bailing us out again? I mean, it's a few times he's done that for us now. That goal up at St Johnstone, he bailed us out. He's becoming a bit of a good luck charm for Neil Lennon, who, if we don't forget, signed him initially during his first spell as manager. He just doesn't seem to be able to get a chance right now, but as long as he keeps scoring these massive, massive goals, I still think he should be in and around the team. I was delighted to see him score today, but what's going on with him? Would you bring him into the team now for Edouard, who I thought was struggled again today apart from his penalty?
I think Edouard's a massive concern, isn't he, the way he's playing at the moment? And he did bits and bobs today, Edouard, where he'd hold the ball in and he'd play players off, but he's going to do that because he's a quality player, but we're just not getting enough from him at the moment. And in terms of Griffiths, you look back at that derby defeat to Rangers when we were absolutely awful and created absolutely nothing the whole game other than the El Yunusi chance that they put on a plate for us. But Griffiths comes on, and within about 5 minutes, he creates probably our second best chance in the game by running through. I don't know if you remember it, goes round the keeper and then doesn't get a shot away, but he kind of squares it. But straight away, that's what Lee Griffiths brings you. Comes on against Milan, scores in that game as well when we were struggling. Aberdeen's the other one away from home, up at Pittodrie, when he scores a brilliant finish to put us ahead or draw us level, whatever it was. That's what he brings you, but there's clearly so much else happening behind the scenes because he's barely seen. And if you want to extend the conversation further, what is going on with Albion Ajeti? Like, this is a guy we've paid £5 million for, Paul, and he looked very good at the start, scored a lot of goals, a lot of big goals as well. But I think his last goal was against Hibs in September, and he's barely played since then.
Yeah, it's been a long time now, and I think the way that things have been going, you see Edouard starting game after game, and it's as if he's the only player that Neil Lennon has full faith in to start a game up top at the moment. And even if he's not firing on all cylinders, I think John's right. Griffiths should be in and around the squad more. I think in league games and obviously we've won out of Europe now, so no European games to worry about. Lee Griffiths should be starting games, and I think Ajeti, it's a mystery. It's bizarre. He started so well. We thought we were on to a real winner. And September is a long time ago. And when we were playing okay when he came into the squad, he seemed to be fitting in pretty well. And then I think it's going to be tricky for him to get back in, especially if Griffiths is scoring goals or if he's making an impact from the bench. And then you've got, obviously, Edouard can still have that bit of magic. I think to dismiss him is not the thing to do just now. I think Edouard still needs time. He's still probably our best quality player that we have. So it's a problem that the management have got. Who starts up front, and is there a case for two strikers, and who the two strikers are?
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think Edouard's going to get a bit more time in the team, and probably rightly so, given his natural ability. You know, the fact that he tried that Panenka today probably shows that he still has confidence. Just the chances that he missed are a bit of a concern. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Griffiths, big fan of the way he scored the goal. And it's good to have a goal scorer on the bench that can come in and kind of bail you out like that. Otherwise, today could have turned out very differently.
I don't know if any of you guys saw Edouard during the trophy celebrations, but he looked absolutely delighted. He had a huge grin on his face. This is huge for the players,
This is huge for the players, I think.
You know, but people who put out that image that Edouard isn't interested at all, like, you only had to look at his reaction there to winning that trophy. We'll get on to that in a wee second. First thing, in terms of penalties, what's your guys' experience of Celtic and penalty shootouts? We had that Dundee United one I touched on earlier. The big one was the Spartak Moscow one. Any other kind of ones prior to that, John? You're a little bit older than me.
One of my first ever games. This is going to probably get people's blood up a bit. One of my first ever games as a Celtic fan, with my dad and my uncle and my cousins. We all went along to Ibrox to watch Celtic versus Wraith Rovers in the Coca-Cola Cup final. And my idol, my hero, the guy I looked up to as a wee Celtic fan, Paul McStay, missed the penalty, and I was gutted. I think I was crying that day. So I don't have much luck with Celtic at penalty shootouts, unfortunately. So yeah, probably just as well I wasn't in Hampden today.
Paul?
Same as you, I think, Hamish, to be honest. I don't think there's not been many over the years, thankfully. I think penalty shootouts are pretty nerve-wracking and pretty dreadful for your health, to be frank. The obviously most recent one that most people watching this will have seen was the Scotland penalties, and that was brilliant. And today, when Gordon saves Christie's penalty, you feel the worst. You feel the writing is on the wall. But I think we need to have a wee 5 minutes and talk about Conor Hazard and that penalty shootout. This is a guy who's scored, who's played how many games for Celtic? 2-3 games for Celtic.
This was his third
guy. We have 3 goalkeepers at the squad, and they've been rotating round, and he was a man picked for today. And Neil Lennon knew that the penalties was a possibility, and he's left him under the pressure of that. And you would think getting towards the end of the 120 minutes, his mind would be focused on that, and he stepped up to the plate in big fashion with 2 magnificent saves.
Were they magnificent, John? Sorry, I need to take this up a notch. Sorry.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah. Why describe them as magnificent all you want, Paul? I know you're a big fan of positivity, so we'll let you have that one. Yeah, penalties are. I hate penalties. And apart from at the World Cup, I think penalties are a bit of a nuisance. And when Celtic are involved, it just rips you apart a wee bit. It was good. We came through it though.
Yeah, no, delighted. As I say, 3 from 3 for me. My mum hates football. She can't watch it. The only part of football she will watch is a penalty shootout. And she was in today as well. And she's obviously a complete neutral in the whole situation, but she just said, from an onlooker watching on, how negative you are in general if you're watching your team in a penalty shootout. Everyone you say, God, he's going to miss, he's going to miss, he's going to miss. When in reality, only Ryan Christie missed it. The other penalties were really good. McGregor's was absolutely brilliant into the corner. And you've got to remember, it's into a keeper who knows them really well, a keeper who's trained with them. And Gordon, I think, guessed right for basically all of the penalties. Ayer obviously slams his down the middle late on. And an amazing moment. Where does that moment rank, guys? No fans in Hampden. We all know the weirdness of the whole situation, but in years to come, it's an iconic Celtic moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, and it's so difficult to judge right now because everything in society is upside down. Never mind Celtic, and it's hard to know where your feelings lie. But I think I can just kind of resting easy on the achievement more than the match itself, and hopefully everyone is in the same boat. You know, I'm not going to pretend that was a classic Celtic game. I actually didn't enjoy it after the first half. It was just too nerve-wracking for me. I'm just glad it wasn't, you know, against them. It was only against Hearts. We tap on the head, Hearts. Paul?
Yeah, I think the image of Chris Ayer pumping his fists out and running away towards the rest of the team will be iconic. I think the fact that this treble run is come to an end, we won't win a treble this season. So 4 trebles in a row won't be seen in anyone's lifetimes. It won't. This is a one-off, and I think we've said that for the treble, but now it really is the truth that this is a one-off. It's an absolutely phenomenal achievement, and there'll be images that will maintain throughout the run. John mentioned one of Craig Gordon on his knees with his hands in the air. The rain hitting out the back of the net in that final when Tom Rogic scored in that video is phenomenal. I think Odsonne Edouard going through and scoring against Hearts last season when everybody stood up at the same time and he lifts the ball into the back of the net is another one. And there are plenty more. But this game, as a neutral, I would imagine it would have been very good to watch up and down. A lot of good points in the game. Even though there are no fans there, I think towards the end the first half was a bit drab, but the second half really picked up as a spectacle. And we'll look back at this with massively fond memories that we actually came through and won the game. It's obviously very raw just now, and I'm riding on a wave of a high. It's just I can't wipe the smile off my face for the next wee while. It's phenomenal.
Fantastic, mate. No, it's a historical day for the club. We are recording this podcast live during the Quadruple Treble Charity Weekender. If you are listening to this as a podcast, that's why we're going to bring in some comments. If you've got any questions, points you want to raise in the live chat on YouTube, get involved. We had one coming in there a second ago that I can no longer find. John Sanderson, there it is. Do you guys think that this final win could turn our season around, John?
I'm not sure if it'll turn the season around. It certainly doesn't make it hit the buffers, which is what a loss would have done today. I think I said this on Twitter earlier, but I think, you know, what happened after the Lille and the Kilmarnock games, I think the Celtic support almost made a truce with the team and the manager, in the sense that they said, right, we'll back you if you're going to show that kind of commitment in these matches, if you're going to try your hardest to win these games, then we'll back you and we'll try to be as positive as we can be. So I think that truce continues for now. I think it's a shaky truce and it goes on from game to game. But I think the squad will feel that was achievement, and it is. The squad will feel buoyant about that. You know, they won't be taking any of the context of what's happened so far this season. They'll need to block that all out and have belief in themselves. And ultimately, it probably doesn't matter how the fans feel about today and the achievement in general, or the kind of mistakes that happened today as well, or the negativity surrounding the team and the club at the moment. All that really matters in terms of winning matches with no fans at the ground is how the players feel about themselves and each other and the manager. And so hopefully that was all galvanising for them today. That's what we have to hope for. We really need to win, you know, most of our matches remaining in the season. That's the situation we're in, unfortunately. There's a 16-point gap to Rangers. And, you know, if we win all our games in hand and beat them at Ibrox, which is obviously a big task, then that reduces to 4. So that's what the players need to remain focused on, but they also just need to take it game by game. The match against Ross County, they're coming to Celtic Park managerless after sacking Stuart Kettlewell. but they'll have belief in themselves and those players that they can pick up a result against Celtic. So the players need to just get on with this now and make sure that these mistakes are cut out. Make sure that today was a galvanising moment for them and pick up a win on Wednesday. That's, it's as important. It's game by game at the moment. So I don't know if it turns the season around, but it certainly gives us a boost heading into Wednesday night.
This is a fairly new Celtic team, and Celtic in general have won everything domestically for the last 4 seasons. But when you consider that the league title that we won last season wasn't given to us in the normal way, yes, we had Scott Brown himself and Neil Lennon photos and all that kind of thing, but they didn't really get to celebrate that triumph as a team in front of supporters and all that kind of thing. And I know that today wasn't in front of supporters, but for so many players in that Celtic squad, today was their first real taste of success at the club. Connor Hazard, Diego Laxalt, Shane Duffy, Ismaila Soro, David Turnbull, and then other players that didn't, get involved, like Albion Ayeti. There's a lot of players there that could hopefully take a real boost from achieving something. Brendan Rodgers always spoke in his time at the club about the most important trophy of the season being the Betfred Cup, because it gave his squad a tangible reward for their hard efforts at the start of the season. Now, admittedly, the start, or whatever you want to call it, the first half of this season has been a bit of a disaster. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. But, Paul, the team have been given some sort of reward for it. And hopefully, we can only cross our fingers and hope that they really kick on from this now, because it's a bit of pressure off, as well, having won this.
Yeah, I think so. I think this cup final's been kind of hanging over us for a while. That it's been upcoming, and we knew that in all probability we're going into this game where some other teams might pick up points when we're out of league duty. But we know now that we know this team are a team of winners when it comes to the punch. It's a team that knows how to grind out results, and I know it's been disappointing. You say it has been very tricky to watch Celtic. It's been frustrating at times. It's brought out anger in a lot of people, and justified in many occasions. But you just hope that now that when the players look at this tomorrow, I'm sure they'll be celebrating tonight, but if they look at this tomorrow, when they analyse what's happened, they'll look at what they've done wrong, they'll look at what they've done right, and they'll know that history was made, and now they have the chance to go on a run and do a lot more. There is a big mountain to climb in the league. There is a big mountain to climb in the league. Well, obviously this season's Scottish Cup to look forward to as well, but the league is the priority. I think everybody will recognise that now. But there's some big games coming up, and I don't think we can take the eye off the ball coming into Wednesday night. Ross County, obviously, they beat us the last time out. They're coming managerless. We need to make a statement of intent on Wednesday to show that we are not just here to make up the numbers. We are here to make that number 10.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. I'm just looking. I was scrolling through the various Twitter feeds, and Celtic have obviously retweeted a lot of cup final positivity messages from Joe Ledley and players like that. It does kind of bring it home a little bit that we have achieved something magical here. You see Shane Duffy is posted with the caption "History Makers." David Turnbull saying simply, "Oh, what a day!" So that's a couple of players there that I just mentioned as this being their first trophies as Celtic players. But not just that. I mean, has Shane Duffy won a trophy before in his career at professional level? Is David Turnbull? So those are special moments for those players today, John.
Yeah, special moments. But I think Paul's right. I think they still need to evaluate the things that are going wrong. I think there needs to be a lot more accountability for some of these players. Some of the performances just aren't good enough. And, although they'll take solace in the fact that they won the trophy today, they can't just rest on that. They can't just say, right, that's in the bag, and that means we're the best team in Scotland. They've got to prove that time and time again in every single match. That's just the reality of life at Celtic. It's not about focusing on negatives. It's not about any of that. It's just you're only as good as your last game at Celtic, as we've witnessed this season. So the players need to make sure that some of the performances today improve for next time. Let's just say that.
And what about Neil Lennon? Because a brilliant day for him as much as a club. I think it's fair to say I'm not talking out of turn here when I say that today won't have got too many Celtic supporters back on side. I think we'd certainly hope that we'd be more convincing in our victory. We did still win. But what about Neil Lennon? Is he still fighting a game-to-game battle, John? Or is it all about that Rangers game at the start of the year?
The club have made it clear that he's getting until January regardless of what happens. And I think if we'd lost today, I think he probably still would have been in a job, to be honest with you, because the board just aren't going to take any of the drastic action, even as loud as fans have been on the issue. You could think that that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's the reality of it. They made it, as I say in that statement, they made it quite clear it wouldn't be reviewed until the new year. So everything rests on these next 3 matches in the league and then the Derby Ibrox. If we win all 4 of those matches, I think that obviously you'll get deeper into the season. You'll get the January transfer window. It's about whether the players can do that, though. There's been massive question marks about our consistency. And, you know, for me, I was actually more annoyed at the players at points today rather than Lennon. There was a lot of anger directed at Lennon because of some of the decisions he made. But for me, the players kind of let themselves down in that second half, especially letting a 2-goal lead slip. So they need to look at themselves as well. There's, you could fire around blame to a lot of people at Celtic at the moment, but I think the reality is that everyone's culpable to some sort of degree. For Neil Lennon, he needs to just keep winning. As I say, it's a game-to-game thing now, I think, in terms of fan feeling about it. Certainly. I know, I was coming out today, worried about Neil Lennon's future at Celtic. And, the thing is, no one can take this achievement away from him. But going deeper into the season, what does it mean for Celtic season, that performance today? Paul, what's your thoughts?
I think one of the comments here, Bill Smith has brought up saying that today should be Lenny's last game in charge, go out on a high, and I think that's an opinion that many have formed going into this game, that if Celtic did lift the trophy, that Neil Lennon would walk away as a successful treble winning manager and treble winning player. I think it's not going to happen, though, is it? Like, let's be frank about that. He's not going to win a competition and decide to throw in the towel. It's going to be tough, I think, going forward. I think John's right. I think the way that the players react to this is going to be paramount, and the way that the next 4 games go are going to define the season. There are four really massive games coming up. Let's not kid on that today is going to paper over all the cracks, but I think with the team that's there, we have to believe that they have the quality to win these 4 games. It's not going to be easy by any stretch, but I think if we can galvanise on the back of a couple of victories and many, many positives over these victories, and look on and push on, then I think that the better things will happen in 2021. I think we hope that for a lot of things, to be honest, in the current climate, but for Celtic especially, because when Celtic are winning, it gives us so much joy. I think as a collective, we know, we felt that today. How much better you're feeling today after last night's nonsense. So it's like it's night and day. I think that we can, and we can come back. There's a long way to go. Is Neil Lennon the right man for the job? I don't think it's really a debate, because I think, as John said, he's going to be here till January regardless.
I think you're hitting a key point there. As Celtic fans, we want to get behind the team. We don't want to be chatting about, whether Neil Lennon should stay or go. So we want nothing more than Celtic to go on a really good run of winning games, because in every walk of life as Celtic fans, it's much tougher when the team isn't performing. I just want to bring up a comment there from Kenny McAdam, summing up how I'm feeling. He says, an amazing achievement today, record-breaking, and we should celebrate. But management again today proved that they're lacking. They need change in order to win the league. Good time for him to go. I think that sums up. There's been a few comments saying that we're now been slightly overly negative. I think that there is a feeling that there is a lot wrong with Celtic at the moment, but hopefully we've touched on the positives as well. Just on that final point from Kenny, good time for him to go. There's no chance of that happening, is there? Neil Lennon walking after, such a high today. Maybe the question shouldn't be, is there any chance of it happening? John, do you think that him doing that would be a good move?
No. I mean, we need to, as long as we're winning, we just need to keep it going. We'll know when it's time again. As we've said, the Rangers game is make or break at Ibrox. Well, no, it's daft to consider Lennon going tomorrow or anything like that. I know people are saying that on Twitter, and there's people, very anxious at the moment, and they've got a right to be anxious because of what they see on the park. But, as long as we keep winning, we need to see this out. The club, if he was going to go, he would have gone probably after that Ross County defeat in the League Cup. If he's staying beyond that point, I think we've got to see this through now for better or worse. We've got to see it through to against Rangers at Ibrox, and we've got to keep the team in place we've got at the moment. It would make no sense to sack Neil Lennon or any nonsense like that over before then. It just doesn't make sense.
I think when we didn't sack him after that County game or the Sparta Prague second one, or certainly St Johnstone one, we'd made our bed with that, and we'll see how it turns out. Not going to be overly negative, as I say, from this point onwards. I think we'll finish. We've got about 7 minutes or so to go. I think we'll finish just by talking about how amazing an achievement it is. Like, for me, growing up as a Celtic fan, trebles were this holy achievement that we couldn't ever get. I mean, yes, we won it in 2001. I didn't really support Celtic that young, but through the tens, the amount of times we threw away possibilities and chances to win trebles, Ross County, Inverness, the second Ross County, Inverness, there was a Rangers final, Kilmarnock, remember that one, the final. And now we've just stumbled across this Celtic team for the last 4 years that all they do is win domestic trophies. We haven't just won one treble. We haven't just won two either. And it's not been three. We've won 4.
One of them was invincible.
Trebles. The first one, we didn't lose a single game. Like, say what you want about this current team, but in decades to come, we will look back at this time and go, that was just like the best time ever to support Celtic. Won't we, Paul?
Yeah, I think so. And I think discussing trebles has thankfully become a norm. It's been brilliant these last 4 seasons to be able to talk about the achievements that so many different players and obviously a couple of different managers have managed to do. There's so many players in this team that are just getting started at Celtic, but there are a few that have been around for a long time, and it's one of these things that I think we mentioned it on the podcast when we won the second one, that is something that was unheard of, to be honest. And now we've done 4. I think winning 4 trebles is second only to the European Cup. I think they're the 2 monumental things that have happened in Celtic's history.
You place it above 9 in a row?
Which one?
Well, either.
Got you there, here.
I think 9 in a row. I think that obviously the thing that surrounds 9 in a row is getting to that illustrious 10. I think that
you put it above 10 in a row.
No,
I don't think you can. I think if you win 10 in a row this season, then
10 in a row is generational.
It is incredible. We've got another 5 months before we find out the answer to that question. But I don't think you can do anything to diminish the achievement that this side and the 3 sides before, because obviously players have come and gone. But this is just absolutely incredible. It's a phenomenal time. Like, regardless of any negativity going about just now, it's a phenomenal time to be a Celtic fan. Growing up with this, like my first real season that I remember, my first real Celtic game that I remember when I was 10 years old when we hammered Rangers 6-2, and then go into that season, like phenomenal. And I'm thinking, this is brilliant. We'll do this every season. And no, of course that doesn't happen. But we've done it for the last 4 seasons, and it's an achievement that you cannot wipe away. We are by far and away the domestic dominators of Scottish football. We have been for 4 seasons, and these times will not be seen again for a long while.
I don't think they'll ever be seen. I don't think a team will ever do this again. What about favourite games and goals from the quadruple treble to finish off? Rogic against Aberdeen. There's a consensus on that?
Yeah,
it remains the only Celtic goal to have made me cry. So yeah,
yeah, good stuff.
Amazing.
There's so many going through my head right now. I think I think Rogic comes up a few times. I think for a lot of people, doesn't he? I think a game against Motherwell when the unbeaten run was on the line is what is up there. To come back in that game was phenomenal. And then there's so many from so many players. I think
Edouard versus Hearts last year.
Edouard run through. Simunovic header. I think just in general terms of the way what that represented in that game, I think was a fantastic goal. And but I think Tom Rogic against Aberdeen will remain the best Celtic goal that many of us have seen.
The greatest. Right, we're almost out of time. Before we go, just a few bits and bobs to get through. Big thanks to Paul John Dykes for asking these three numpties on to chat about Celtic. Really appreciate him asking us on, and also just what an incredible weekend he's put together. And the fruits of that are in the amount that's been raised so far. I don't actually have an update. I feel like I'm in Children in Need at the moment, where they read out the number. I think it was around 21,000 last time. So everyone, get your hand in your pocket and get involved, because there's 4 really good charities there: Rock Talk, Food Facts Friends Food Bank, Children First, and Help for the Homeless. Big thanks, as I said at the start of the show, to GRV Media and 67 Hail Hail for sponsoring this as well. John, selfless plug for the Grand Auld Podcast. Where can they find us on Twitter if they've liked what they've heard? Yeah, Grand Auld Pod on Twitter. We're also out weekly, usually on a Monday or a Tuesday, just chatting about everything Celtic. We've not gone into loads of issues today because we wanted to focus on the quadruple treble for people on the stream. But we're usually talking about all sorts, and it's usually, being live on YouTube, it's a bit stressful, Hamish. I don't know about you. It's a bit crazy, so we're usually a little bit more relaxed than the podcast recording. So check us out and stay tuned for the next show. And congratulations to Paul John for an incredible weekend, raising so much money for charity, giving people so much entertainment. The amount of work he must have put into this weekend is unbelievable. Organising all these different pods for starters, sorting out loads of sponsorship, loads of graphics, keeping everyone engaged and excited throughout the days. And, the promotion of it was great as well. Mark Hughes giving his thoughts, John Hartz and all the players. Fantastic work. I'm delighted to be part of this community. I think the Celtic podcast community is unbelievable, and I'm proud to be part of it. So, yeah, good. Well done to everyone.